I just want to preface this video by saying, if I have views that you don't agree with, or I don't agree with your views, that does not mean I hate you. Can we agree on one thing, being that if I have views that are fundamentally different to your views, that does not mean we have to hate each other. You know, goes both ways, okay? So I'm a Christian, and some of my worldviews are informed by that. Well, actually a lot of them, because it's a really important thing to me. I believe it to be true. You don't have to, that's fine, we can talk about it, that's a good thing to do. We don't have to talk about that either if you really don't want to. I'm never gonna force my views on you, but like, I just feel like I'm here in Da Nang, Vietnam. You can't really see the view too much. Sea's behind me, way behind me back there. And I currently live in Thailand, and I've been living here in Southeast Asia again for about a year and a half. But since I was 21 years old, I've only spent 2.5 years living in the UK. I left again about a year and a half ago. So quite recently during COVID, I was back for a solid chunk of time in the UK. Saw and experienced a lot of it there. But since 21, I've lived in Spain, then in Vietnam, now in Thailand. And so I have lived amongst other cultures, languages, people, races, and I just say that because what sometimes also happens is when you, I believe currently, if you have certain views, even if you're a Christian, you say you're a Christian, oh, that means he's right wing. Oh, that means he's mega conservative. That means he's a racist. That means this. That. Like, no, it means I'm a Christian. That's all that it means. But it might inform other views or stances I have. But that doesn't have to be a basis for condemnation and hatred. Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, you ain't Christian, that's fine. I'm called as a Christian to love you. And I want to also say, whoever's watching this video, I love you. Why? Not because I'm some virtuous person, because I'm not, but because that's what I'm called to do as a Christian, to try and love others. But the thing I feel we have lost in the UK, where I'm from, and in a lot of the Western world, although it seems to be turning in America, like they're having I think America are, you know, further out the woods than the UK currently is, where we're completely in a swamp with all this stuff. But like, we can disagree and engage in debate, and that doesn't have to mean that there's animosity or hatred, you know? I just think that is disappearing in the UK, and unless there's a drastic turn of events, like, it is literally becoming a place where it's like a kind of thought police state, Orwellian society, the type of thing we've seen in science fiction movies, we read in books like 1984, like George Orwell predicted all of this, and it is coming to pass, and like, we're already in that. We are. And the thing is, 5-10 years ago, so there's a bit of construction noise around, 5 or 10 years ago, if you would have spoken this way, people would probably still be thinking, well, conspiracy theorist, bit of a nutter. Now it's just reality. It's like the reality that we are living in, and we see this all over social media, you know. But there is this enormous kind of censorship of what is and is not supposedly acceptable in the UK now, to the point where in universities, academics are teaching things which are not necessarily even true or correct, but we have to believe them. If you do not believe it, you're a bigot, you're intolerant. Why is that? Like, why is that? Like, no, you're not, because someone who, like, love and tolerance, right? To love someone, to show them respect, to see that they're a human being with dignity and worth, and that you want to build a relationship with them, you want to respect them. Tolerance is a different thing. It doesn't mean if I follow those principles of love, I have to tolerate a person. If what tolerance is now defined as means every view they hold, I will accept it. I will also believe it. I will never question it. I will never try to get them to think about perhaps other perspectives. I will just say, yep, I completely accept exactly everything you believe, and that's the way I love you. That isn't love. Because if you follow that logic, I don't know, what are things we could all universally agree on? A paedophile that likes having sex with 5-year-olds. Well, we just have to accept him, we have to tolerate him. That wouldn't be loving, because where is the justice in that? So I'm not trying to say that other issues are the same as paedophilia. What I'm trying to say is, if you follow the logic of love means complete tolerance of another person, it doesn't make logical sense, and it's not loving. Just the way you see the Christian God is love and justice. He's not just love. By the way we define it, do you know? Because love will have a level of provision, justice, and kind of boundaries to follow, right? So I feel one of the main problems we've gotten into in the UK is now we as humans who've completely turned our back, by and large, on Christianity, our roots, and even sometimes of the concept of a God at all, we're making up all of our own boundaries, our own rules, but some of them don't necessarily make logical sense. But we need to be able to have these discussions. There's speakers I like a lot because they encourage the free speech many of them coming from America now, because of all the things that might not be good about Trump. One thing is, he does allow for, I see now currently, the conservative side are much more pro having the conversations rather than the left side is about shutting them down. Because if you don't agree with what I've said, that you're a bigot, you're hateful. No, you're not. Me, I don't describe myself to left or right. I'm a Christian. What is truly important to me is my faith. That is what I think should inform other areas of life. Not for humans just to decide these things and leave God completely out of the picture, because we end up in a mess, and we are in a huge mess in the UK now. Really we are. Like, mate, it is just insane. Like, I know that so many people I come across out here in Thailand and Vietnam, they're leaving because they got no prospects, they got no future, they're never going to own a home. People aren't getting married anymore, having families. There's hardly any work. The cost of living is ridiculous. There's so many problems piling up, and then you've also got interrelated, kind of, to use the phrase, woke culture, because, you know, it doesn't allow for a free and a genuinely free society. When you're enforcing what people have to believe, there is no freedom there. And what's very ironic is people will sometimes point at Christianity and say, yeah, that's trying to take away my freedom. They want me to be a kind of prude or a killjoy or whatever people understand Christianity to be, which following Jesus, by the way, isn't that, but that is how often people perceive it. But the true, what's the word? The true kind of de-incentivizer, or where the real lack of freedom of speech comes from is from left-wing politics or ideology, where you have to accept everything a person believes, otherwise you're hateful and intolerant. That doesn't make any logical sense. And by the way, I have many gay friends. If I have a gay friend and I ascribe to the view that God made them man and woman, male and female, and the ideal is that you have a partner of the opposite sex, and that is, I believe, what God intends, does that mean, as an example, does that mean I hate that person and I condemn that person? And no, it doesn't mean that. What it means is he's got one view, I've got another. We can talk about that. And that's it. And we can still be friends. I can still show love and respect to them, which I do. And you can apply that to any of these contentious topics right now. Literally all of them. Transgender, abortion, whatever. Because we can still have love and respect and then dialogue, and then perhaps people's minds can change or not. But what it doesn't have to be is this kind of left-wing thought police thing where it's like, because you don't agree with this, oh, therefore you hate me. It's not. It just simply is completely and utterly like a fallacy, but we're all living in it now. We're so entrenched in it now. It's one of the things that makes the UK, in my opinion, and in the opinion of many, many people I encounter out here, online, it's like a place where people just don't want to live anymore. And it's a big factor. And that's the reason I speak about it, because I feel so strongly about it. Like, that's where I grew up. The UK is my roots. I'm 33 years old, and in that span of time, it's like absolutely unrecognizable from the place it was when I was a kid. It's unrecognizable. And so much of this is this kind of political inclusivity agenda, to use again that label. You must accept what's been told to you. You cannot question it. A lot of it, though, when you really get down to logic, and if you want to bring God into the picture, which I believe we must do, so much of it's not logical. If people want to follow that, that's fine, but you cannot enforce everyone to believe it. You cannot do that, and you can't silence the voices of, mainly, of course, the one I care about, Christianity. Christianity, followers of Jesus. You can't silence them, because although we don't like to believe it anymore, there is external and absolute morality, which comes from God. If you just throw that all out of the picture and even don't allow to have the debate about whether that's true or not, it's just like, nope, humans are going to decide everything now, and you must believe all these different things. You're going to end up with a massive problem, and this is the history of humanity. Funnily enough, people that probably aren't going to like this video probably haven't read a whole lot of the Bible either. That is literally the history of humanity. If you look through the Bible, look through the Old Testament, people follow God, God blesses them, they have success. Once they have success, they don't want God anymore, they throw God out, everything goes off a cliff, round and round and round. And we're currently heading towards an absolute cliff. I mean, we're already there, but it's just going to get worse, and things have got to shift. So that's my motivation for making videos like this. Anyway, if you disagree with things I said, it's absolutely fine. That's kind of the point in a way, you know? I love you anyway, and I hope you have, you know, if you want to reply to me, go ahead. Take it easy.